print headings on all pages. In Excel 2010, there is another characteristic that is convenient to work with, is to print rows at the top of each page. Here in this spreadsheet, I have row 1 as all of my headings. I would like it if this seemed on the top of every page. We are able to do so by using Page Setup menu. Here I can set it so that rows repeat at the top of the page or my columns repeat at the left. So let's discuss this feature by setting up a demonstration. First, in order to see that we have a heading on multiple pages, I'll require to force a page break. This is a perfect time to tell you how you can put in what we call a hard page break. Here, I'm going to decide where the page should end instead of letting Excel choose at the bottom of the sheet. Now, I'm just going to select the row in which I want the page break to happen. Then, I'm going to the Page Setup section under the Page Layout menu and select the Break tab. Here you will find options such as Insert Page Break, Remove Page Break, and Reset All Page Breaks. In this case, I am going to select Insert Page Break, and you will notice a dotted line going across the screen. There, our page break will occur. So go ahead and go to the print preview. You can notice on the top of the screen, there is column heading on page 1 and another column heading on page 2 also. We're seeing the actual columns on both pages for the reason that we've set up our print titles. When I go to print titles, you will see that I have asked it to repeat the row 1 at the top and the column A on the side. If I remove my columns and my rows and go back to print preview, you'll notice I have the headings on page 1. But now, when I go back to page 2, there is no column heading. Adding the column headings to every page is the function of print titles. We will close this out without saving the changes here. I'm going to go back to the print titles icon on the page layout ribbon. You can select it to see the rows to repeat at the top. This could be possible with either rows or columns or both at a time. I'll simply go to rows to repeat on top, go over to the side, and there's a wizard button. So I'm taken to Page Setups, Rows to Repeat, and simply select the row that I want to appear. Now, we will discuss the syntax that appears in the dialog box. It says $1:1. The $sign stands for an absolute value in Microsoft Excel. When you're doing a formula, Excel uses what we say a relative reference. That means, if I move down one space, Excel assumes that we would also want the heading to move down one space. We don't. So Excel puts the $sign in there to say, lock this. All the time use this no matter where I'm at. In this example, start on row 1. The colon is the separator between the beginning and the end, and it says end on row 1. Now if I wanted 2 rows, I would highlight 2 rows. Now you'll see it says start on row 1 and on row 2. In our instance, we only want 1 row, so I'll go back to the wizard button. It returns the same data on rows to repeat. Now, when I go back to print preview, you'll notice that my columns are on page 1. I go to page 2, my columns are here too. One more time, I will close this without saving the changes in it. Now I will go back to the print titles. Same thing I can do with the columns. But the slight difference with the columns is here I have to select the column going down. Again, I go back to the dialog box. I go into print preview, and now you'll notice that the column on the side for page 1 and the column on the side for page 2 are alike. Again, I'll exit without saving the changes. Print Titles tab also allows us to select whether we want grid lines, black and white, draft quality, row and column headings options to print. Now when Excel uses row and column headings internally, it is referring to A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4. The word heading, when we're using it on our spreadsheet, of course, refers to our first row of information. So keep in mind that we'll talk of column headings as our heading, and then Excel in its system will use the word column heading to talk about the row number and the column number. So the Page Setup menu has a lot of control over how things are going to appear on the printed sheet of paper.